What's going on, collectors? Welcome into Ross Loves Cards. Today, I want us to talk a little bit about this roller coaster ride of life that we are on. I don't know about you all. Sometimes it seems like my life's on a roller coaster and different parts of my lives. My health. Sometimes I think, I'm up high. And sometimes I think, well, I'm down low. Sometimes it changes between the hour or the day. But not just health. Sometimes we can look at maybe parenting or maybe being a husband. Sometimes I think, I'm doing just all right. But not too careful, I'm going to stub my toe rather quickly and plunge to be like, is there a worse dad or husband than me? Sometimes you experience both ends of the roller coaster within hours of each other in the same day. Ball card collecting, I've noticed this sometimes like that. Sometimes, I think, boy, I cannot find a bad deal on a card. I just need to buy everything. Sometimes you're looking and saying, boy, I cannot find a good deal anywhere. Or that's how it is for me, whether it's a card show or on eBay or however you might be buying. There's highs and lows to that. Today, me and my boy decided to go to our second card show. Well, in a week. Last Saturday we went to one, but this one was in my hometown. The first one we had his mom and sister with us. Now they didn't stay with us at the show, but they was around looking at other stuff. So this time it's just me and him. And we was going through, we went through the door, looked at one table, and we came up to our local card shop's table, which we'd been in the week before and the week before that. But we get to that table, and my boy says, "There's Patrick Mahomes, I want that." And he said, "Texas Tech." He said, "Texas Tech, Patrick Mahomes University." And before we went, I told him, you've got $20 to spend. Well, I actually had 25 set aside in case there was something, 5 over, but he said, "Okay, so $20 or less." He said, "What about 21?" And I said, "No, just 20. So we get there, this card was $10. He said, "I want that." And he could have bought this card for $10, I'm sure, any other time. We may have overpaid for that, but it's a one touch and a sleeve for us already. I don't look at the price for Mahomes cards on that. He loves them. He's going to get $10 worth of good out of it. But anyways, we was about 10 minutes in. He'd spent $10. He said, "Dad, I'm ready to go." I said, "We just got here." We was at the far side. We walked through one aisle and was at the far side of our Civic Center exhibit hall where the show was held at. And I don't know, some of you may not know it. Sometimes I'm on a cane, sometimes crutches, sometimes I can walk normal. I've got a condition that's CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome, that sometimes I have trouble walking. Today was a rough day. I was hurting so bad this morning. I told my wife, I said, "I'm not going." Then I said, "Well, you know what? It happens once a year. I'm going to go ahead and go to the card show." And then my boy wanted to come with me. So we walked to the far side of the card show, made one pass. He said, "I'm ready to go home." I'd seen maybe 2 cards that I had thought about. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and call his mom. So I called his mom. We live 5 minutes away. Call his mom. She says, "Okay, I'll come get him." And we wait 5-10 minutes, kind of walking our way towards the back. And I call her after about 10 minutes and said, "Hey, where you at?" She says, "I'm fixing to leave the house." So I don't know if she's finishing her coffee or what. No, I just know it. We've got a young girl that's 3, so it probably took her a while to get her around to go. But she got there another 5 minutes later, and while we was waiting for him, it was kind of hot. We was outside waiting for him because I was thinking they was right there. And I told Tate, I said, we don't get to come back for another year." Okay, I said, "You sure, He said, "I'm done looking." So I kind of felt bad after he left, thinking, well, was I too hard on him? Saying we ain't going to get to come back for another year, trying to convince him to stay. But I get back in and I see one of my buddies there looking at a table. I asked how it was going. He said, "I'm just kind of looking around." I said, "Well, it took my boy $10 in 10 minutes to have all he wanted to this place." And he said, "I wish I was like that." spend $10 in 10 minutes and be able to leave happily. And then after he said that, I really got to feeling bad. You know, my boy had a great 10 minutes at the card show, spent $10, had a card that he loves. But that didn't keep me feeling bad didn't keep me from going ahead limping around there and seeing what other cards I could find. I went by a 54 Bowman Mini Minoso, and went by it, and thought, you know, that's a card, looks good, it's fairly centered. And then I seen a 1960 Topps Don Drysdale. It was a 6. It was centered left to right, but off a little bit to the bottom. So I kind of marked that. And I'm trying to think, there was some others I seen. I can't think of it right off the top. Oh, I seen a 57 Campy and a 57 Duke Snyder. The Snyder was off a little bit on to the right, and the Campy was pretty well all right, but it was priced about all it was worth, I think, so I didn't jump on it. Did see 3 Red Heart cards, but I didn't come home with any of them. So I went back out to the van, and I looked at my PSA app, the price guide, and see what they sold last at the eBay auctions or other auctions. And kind of got to thinking, I thought, you know, that Minoso, it's priced semi-right, I thought, looking at that. And it's not comps, but it's closest thing to comps I can find that I don't have to pay for. But I go back in there and I look at the Mini Minoso again and talk with that guy. And he had it priced at $50. And I asked him if he'd take $40 for it. And he said, I'd hate to. He didn't say anything else, and he finally got the card out and handed it to me, and I was pleased. I got this 54, sorry, let me get out of the way, maybe it'll focus on that. 54 Mini Minoso Bowman. As you can see, this card's, well, I tell you what, I can't, maybe that's better. But anyways, as you can see, this card is pretty well centered. It's a pretty good looking card, I feel like. Got it in an SGC of a 4. And I tell you what, really pleased with this 54 Bowman Mini Minoso. So anyways, I go back out to the car and I call my wife to see how her and the kids are. They was going to go backpack shopping, because apparently we got school supplies and no backpack, and they was also going to do some shoe shopping. But they stopped by my parents' house and talked with them for a while. And I called to give an update to my wife. I told her about the Patrick Mahomes and about the Mini Minoso buy. And I told her, you know, we spent 50 of the 100 we was planning on spending. So I think she was pretty pleased. And I said, well, I guess you guys are going to go shopping. They're going to go drive about an hour away to some different stores. And so I said, I'll talk to y'all later. Well, I sat there a little bit longer and I thought about another card that was in there. It was a 34 batter up Fred Fitzsimmons, I'm sorry. It was PSA at a 2, and to be honest, I'd never heard of a batter up card until I'm trying to think, who was that? I think Jason, everyday card collector. Jason bought, I believe, a batter up card, and so until he did that, I'd never heard of these. They've got the pop out where you can pop it up. Now, if you can see this thing, it's got more wrinkles than my old Sharpay used to have. But, well, actually, it's just got 2 wrinkles in it. Well, that one's probably crease wrinkles, but you can see where they are right there and right there. But just the fact of it being a pop-up, I thought that was cool. I guess this is my first pre-war card. And a slab, like I said, is PSA 2. And to be honest, I know absolutely nothing about this player. But after seeing, I paid 25 bucks for this. After seeing Jason's card, and I thought, for 25 bucks, I've made a $25 mistake before. He had it for 30, and I offered him 25, and he took it. But I've made a $25 mistake before. But I was talking about ups and downs. First pass through. I seen some stuff, but the boys wanting to leave, and I was kind of down about that. I was hurting. I thought about just leaving and not going back. And then I get the Minoso card, kind of back up, feeling good about my card collecting, anyways. Still questionable about my parenting. Then we picked up. Then I went back and picked up that pop-up card. Or I'm sorry, it's batter up card's what they call it. Even though he's pitching, but they call it a batter up, or he's throwing. He may not be pitching. But I get back home and I decide, I need to go get me a soda. That's one thing about vacation and down at Cancun. It got me off of the wagon. I started drinking Coke Zero again and coffee. So we didn't have any Coke Zero or coffee here at the house, so I thought, well, I'm going to stop by and get me one at the Dollar General. And I'm there getting me a couple sodas, and the woman behind me, her kids was wanting something, and she says, "You guys cannot have junk food. I'm not buying you any," telling that to her kids. And I thought, you know what, that's a good mom, taking care of her kids. And she says, "If you bring it up one more time, I'm going to hang you." And I didn't turn around and look or get big-eyed, or I don't think I did. And waited a few more seconds, and she said, "To the ceiling, buy a shirt or something." I thought, me telling the boy we ain't coming back for another year may not have been the worst thing in the world to tell him. Now, I don't think she was threatening the kids or anything. I've said things that I probably should have not have said. Probably more so in private and public, thinking about it later, thinking, that don't sound good. But sometimes, we have highs and lows, whether that's in parenting, being a neighbor, teaching, being a husband, being a card collector. Some days are good, some days are bad. But it's best just kind of keep a good attitude and take the good with the bad and try to stay on that uphill climb. But I just wanted to share with you how our second card show went. It didn't go perfect for him, or it didn't go how I perfectly imagined it, but $10 in 10 minutes, he had a good day. He told his mom he enjoyed it. So as long as he enjoyed it, that's the important thing. And as long as I enjoyed it, that's the important thing too. Maybe next time we go, I'll be a little bit more of a patient dad with him. But I hope you all are still out there collecting and having a good Saturday. We'll talk to y'all the next time. Thanks.